Alright, welcome everybody watching. This is going to be an Alpha Sharks overview. We are doing an overview of the view and going to be doing a giveaway today as well. So I'm going to give it a few minutes for some people to jump in here and we'll be getting started. All right, welcome those watching outside the Discord. We are doing an Alpha Sharks overview. We'll be going over the view, some of the trading view features that we also have, and we'll also be doing the giveaway at the end of the stream as well. So we're going to just jump right into it. So pretty much kind of like every single one that we go over, we're going to be starting in our trending page and going to see again what is in demand for the day, or at least within the last 24 hours. So what I'm talking about is going to be up here. We have our time frames that we're able to interchange for whatever time frame that we're looking at. So personally, I like to go from bigger to smaller. Some people like going smaller to bigger, but this is just the way I prefer. So one thing I do like to look at is you'll notice that these are going to be filtered automatically by sales. We will be getting a portion where we will be able to filter by, let's say we wanted to filter by floor prices, or we wanted to filter by volume, or we want to filter by percent listed. We'll be getting some portions like that coming pretty soon. So we've gotten a lot of suggestions on that. So that will definitely be an implementation going forward. So definitely want to kind of look at. Another thing that we mainly go over right now in this view is going to be the amount of volume traded, because amount of sales is nice, but if the amount of sales is on something very, very small, it's not really as weighted as we really like, because what we truly want to see is major volume by multiple people. Because again, this would make our walls just become a little thinner at that point. And when there's more volume inside of the project, there's more range to be playing within, meaning more volatility that's actually happening. So looking at volume is going to be very key, especially looking on the daily chart, or at least on the 24-hour time frame. So let's actually scroll down and see what's in demand on the 24-hour. So we're kind of earlier on in the day. So usually triple-digit ETH volume is one of the major, I guess, indicators for pretty good volume, at least on the 24-hour. But there's going to be days and times where that actually changes, as there could be a lot more volume coming into the market or a lot less volume coming into the market. So this is why I like to go over this in particular pretty much every day. So let's look at the first one. We have deep objects. This was one that was on the live stream yesterday as well. So this one's definitely one that we're going to be keeping an eye on very closely. And right here, it's 133 ETH volume traded, and kind of growing down. I see Street Machine with 177 ETH volume traded, and that is definitely a bit higher than 133. So those are pretty much going to be our high points for our ETH volume traded. And let's kind of scroll down to see if we see any more triple-digit ETH volume traded, to see if there can be potential play coming up. Helix right here coming up on just about 100 ETH volume traded. This might be one that we definitely want to kind of look at, as we have 10% listed, and it has an NBCP of 13.4%. With at least 50% unique holders. Definitely one on the come up that we can potentially see some price action in. Let's kind of keep scrolling down. 8 liens, 88 ETH volume traded, 6% listed. Let's see, this one, Pixelmon. Pixelmon with 265 ETH traded. I think that's the most on the 24-hour time frame. So that was obviously one that has pumped. Not sure if this will continue, but we'll go into the smaller time frames and see how the volume is actually taking up right there. So we actually have two more with triple-digit ETH volume. Angry Cat with 122, and Genuine Undead with 144. So we have quite a few projects with volume coming in. So at this point, I'd like to go into something smaller. Personally, I'd like to go into an hour time frame, since we're looking for something with a little more momentum kind of happening within the hour. And what we do want to see as well is we want to see some of the projects that we saw in the 24-hour, we want to see this on the 1 hour as well. Reason being is because if it's having demand on the 24-hour time frame and it's having demand on the 1 hour time frame, and let's say we keep going down to 15, a 5, and a 1, and we start seeing these reoccurring, this would be telling us that we're still in trend, or there's still demand coming in to the project, and that move could potentially still continue. So this is definitely, again, why we go over different time frames and looking at the different volume profiles that we're going to be inspecting. So right now, same thing. Let's go down the volume column and see what exactly has the most demand coming in. So let's see, 48 ETH volume right here, Ledger, Market Pass. So 48 ETH volume within the last hour, pretty solid from what we're looking at. Notice this is actually the most volume traded, next to the last of this and AMAI with 28 ETH volume traded. But again, let's scroll down to see if there's anything else, maybe above double-digit ETH volume, like other deed for other side, 33 ETH volume traded. Okay, cool. So now let's go into something a little smaller, maybe like a 15-minute. And what we can see is that we have pretty much some of the same projects that are popping up. Notice this one was one that we talked about on the 24-hour time frame, Deep Objects. So this one having sales, not the most sales within the last 15 minutes, but having this pop up on the 15-minute and having sales actually rise is going to give us indication that, hey, this potentially might not be done. And again, we want to hold a lot of weight to this one in particular because the amount of volume traded on the 24-hour was astronomical compared to the ones that are trading up top right now. So this is a good sign to see for at least this project down here. So let's actually go into something a bit smaller, like a 5-minute time frame, and see if we can get some more insight on what's potentially moving. So a few other ones that we've seen pop up as well. Street Machine was one of the ones, actually had the most on the 24-hour time frame. So this one is one that we want to kind of keep an eye on as well. It is a little higher priced, but still can have some volatile movement coming into it. Aliens was one that we saw as well. And yeah, so actually quite a few projects kind of in the midst this morning. So I want to see if there's any questions or any preference that anybody had, if anybody was in a trade that they wanted to go over or a particular project that they wanted to go over. I want to kind of show the view portion today and get a little more in depth on the trading view portion. So I wanted to ask if anybody's in any trades right now, or is anybody in any of these projects that we're seeing on screen? Boric, why are you server muted? You're probably hot micing. All right. Cool. So we have nobody and no trades. Amazing. Heard that. All right. Let's see which one I want to go over. Let's go with the one that's moving right now. Let's see. Okay. Could be in a live trade right now, potentially. Okay, cool. This could be interesting. Okay, so what we're gonna go over right now, reason why I say this could be interesting and how I kind of just made that, I guess, assumption you can say, is the way I kind of view this chart. Again, I have no idea what this project is, no idea behind the fundamental behind it. What it what it exactly, I guess, the mint process was. That whole process, I'm not 100% of it, but what I can see is what the people who are selling the project are doing, and I can get an idea of kind of their insights at this point. Um, and it looks like this was recently, kind of just came about, so within the last hour or so. Um, So one of the main things I'm seeing is I change if our rank variety here is at 0%. It's going to mean that all the ranks here are going to show as the same rank. And that really doesn't do anything for us at this point, right? Because there's no rarity to kind of distribute within. So what I like to do is go from filtering the chart by P&L. And this is very, very helpful, especially during this phase that I guess we have from the mint out. And we talk about this kind of all the time. We have this kind of mint out portion that kind of happens. You get the initial sales that happen up here. Then you start getting people that want to buy when you're up here and thinking it's going to continue to rise at that point. But then it doesn't. And we actually get a retracement. And one thing we talk about a lot is, again, creating ranges. And we can see the reason I said this could be interesting once I kind of looked at the chart is notice here, this top, we have one top range being at pretty much 0.1, bottom range being down here. And if anybody can realize why I'm particularly picking these points, it's for a few reasons, because we have lots of buys coming in here. Plus, look at our volume profile that's happening. What are we doing with our volume over time near this level? Just look at our volume bars. They're rising over time. The last one is higher than each previous one. So that's telling us that demand is coming in at that point. And thus actually getting a retrace back up. But what are we also doing? We're breaking just the downward trend line at this point and creating this miniature breakout to see again if we can use our what was last support ish, where there's lots of buyers coming in. Can we utilize this as a base to continue to the upside? And what happened here? We had lots of accumulation, but we ended up just continuing on the downward trend, just initializing a bigger downward move. And this is where it kind of gets messy on this chart. And this is where I'd start going into Trading View. And if you guys haven't utilized Trading View yet, I definitely would be jumping into Trading View as fast as I can. It's probably going to be one of the most useful tools inside the Alpha Sharks tool, in conjunction with all of the stat bars and all of the graphs that we're actually putting together. This just puts pretty much is like the motherboard to the price action pretty much. And we're going to show you a little insight on kind of how to set this up to kind of make it a little more efficient for some people. So right now, if you guys have your thing open, ours might look a little different, especially with colors and backgrounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this back to what you guys should be seeing. No, I think it was green. And I'm not 100% what the background color was. I think the initial one's like gray. I could be wrong on that. It might look something like this. So for those looking to kind of make their Trading View a little more efficient, what you could do, because one thing I like to kind of distinguish is I want to be able to see price action and I want to be able to see volume on two different, I guess, levels. So right now, notice if I zoom in, if price action goes below, I guess, this candlestick, I'm not going to be able to see it. And I'm not a fan of that. And I like to, again, I like to distribute and see them, I guess, I want to be able to distinguish both of these because they're two very important indicators. So what I do is go into volume. You can go onto the three little dots on the right hand side. You can move to a pane either above or below. Personally, I like to put it below so that I can just see it growing from the actual bottom of my chart. And the cool thing about that is you can actually now, you'll see that it's distinguished in two different spots. And if you actually highlight in the middle, you can hold that and actually change the size of whatever indicator that you actually have here. So right here is volume. Let's say you like that spot. You can keep that there. Let's say you wanted volume just to be a bit bigger and you want price action to be a bit smaller. You can do that as well. This is a very neat feature that I think is very helpful for us. And let's actually show you guys one thing that's pretty cool, because we always talk about our volume and our increase or decrease in volume. So if you guys go into the little gear setting right here next to the indicator, you guys can turn on volume MA. And what that's going to be is volume moving average. And basically what that's calculating is if you go to inputs, it's going to give you the moving average length. Notice it's set to 20. It's going to calculate the moving average for the volume for 20 periods and going to smooth that out by 9. So it's going to pretty much give us the overall average of the volume that's happening within the last 9 candles. And this is going to be very key because, again, what do we talk about all the time? If we start to draw our trend lines, like particularly here, it says top range, just strictly off our volume alone, just look at where we happen to break out of, breakout zone, but look at what happens with our volume at this point as well. Just based off of a simple trend line and an increase in our actual average volume. Notice down here, our volume average is going down, but once we start to bottom out off that and we start to rise and we start to see listings go down with that, this is a telltale sign. This is pretty much a bottoming portion, especially after some type of mint out that they had, especially if you have initial minters losing out within the first I guess run up. The smart buyers are waiting for the potential dip buy opportunity where they're having demand also coming into a point, but they're having the retrace of listings going down. This is a major key that it's pretty much a technical pattern that is set up pretty much based off of momentum. And I'm going to show you guys one of the indicators that is going to help you guys realize momentum at this point. So if you guys go into indicators on this top portion, it's in type MACD, and what you guys will get popped up, yeah, you guys will get another pane popped up down here. And what this is going to indicate, if you guys go into settings, you're going to have 3 different portions. You're going to have a histogram, the MACD, and you're going to have a signal. So first, let's actually go over the MACD and the signal. So I'm going to take off the histogram for now. So we're going to go over just the crossing lines. So right now, the MACD, what that stands for is moving average convergence divergence. And it might sound like an earful to people, but we kind of already go over convergence and divergence all the time. We just don't know it by that. So usually we talk about price action rising and listings decreasing, and thus creating a movement in price action, usually to the upside. But there's times where things diverge, meaning they're not going in the way that we want. So let's say listings are going down and our volume's rising, but our price is going down. This would, at this point, would be divergence, because this is not what we should be seeing off of these initial moves, thus being hidden divergence. Convergence would mean that if it is actually moving in the way that we're actually looking for. So those are going to be the two differences between that. One of the main uses for the MACD is going to be, it's a momentum oscillator to trade trends. So this here is going to be a very key indicator to calculate how much momentum is actually coming into the project. And this is going to give us either bullish or bearish movements coming into the actual price action itself. So we can think about the MACD pretty much as fuel in our tank. It's pretty much, do we have enough fuel to kind of get us going, or are we running out of the fuel? You can pretty much think about it that way. So the few ways that this is going to be broken down, the MACD, again, is going to be our blue signal line, or blue line here, and the signal line is going to be our orange line here. And how the MACD is calculated, the blue portion, it's going to be a 12-period EMA minus a 26-period EMA. So basically taking, subtracting two EMAs and actually giving us the average between that. And the next is the signal line, and that's going to be a 9-period EMA of the MACD itself. So basically this is a slower indicator for calculating the amount of sales that are going through. So how we kind of read this, right, is we're trying to read the crossings of them two. So whenever we start to see a crossing of the MACD to the signal, for example, like this, this here is telling us that we're losing momentum. Over the last periods, our momentum here and our buys are not indicating that buyers are in control. But notice when we happen to cross up right here, and this is where we were standing when we kind of came up to this project, and we're looking at it like, oh, this might be a play because of this indicator in particular. And obviously this trend line that we have drawn as well. Plus, look at the volume that happened to come in. It's kind of a win-win-win scenario right here. This particularly would have gave us the indication that, hey, look, we're holding our last support zone. Plus, we have momentum buyers coming in, and we can literally see the buyers coming in here. As that starts to rise, notice what's happening with our listings as well. That is going to be very, very key. Again, as this is converging, this is doing what price action is moving exactly how we want it. If demand is rising and our listings are going down, price should rise. Again, that's convergence. If price was actually dropping at this point, at that point, that would be divergence that we're looking at. So that's kind of one way to utilize the MACD indicator itself. Again, going to calculate the momentum that's kind of happening within the project itself. So one other thing that we kind of turned off was the histogram. I'm going to go over that right now. So if you go back into the MACD setting gear, you go into the histogram, you can actually turn that on. You'll notice that it's a histogram kind of looking like a heat map a little bit. So you'll notice that there's very deep dark greens and then lighter, I guess, neon colored greens that actually flow into red, kind of deeper reds and I guess light reds, depending on how strong that actual momentum is. So the stronger and deeper the green color, the stronger and the deeper the momentum actually is. Notice when you actually start losing momentum, it starts getting a lighter color. And notice our MACD starts to get closer to that signal line, again indicating that the buys that are coming in are slowing down at this point, and the momentum's actually starting to decrease. Notice here, where we actually get the crossing of the MACD, we actually get the crossing of the histogram as well. And what this is telling us is saying, hey, the momentum to the downside is solid right now. But notice on the next ones, we actually start getting lighter reds. And once we start getting the flip of that, plus the intake of volume, that's pretty much, and the break of this trend line, that's pretty much giving us the entry right here at this point. And again, this is fully based on prior buys that had actually happened, because what the MACD is calculating is the moving average of price action. So you definitely want to utilize this in a little more liquid projects, because the less liquid that it actually is, the more chopped up you're actually going to see this indicator be. This indicator is probably a lot better utilized on bigger time frames, but this project hasn't been out for that long, so not being able to calculate that data as of yet. But if you can start to see your MACDs lining up across multiple time frames, like if you're, like, let's say we had a blue, like let's say we had our MACD crossing up here, and also on the 1 minute that we're looking at, had it was about to cross here as well, that can give us indication that, hey, we're ready to gain momentum on the 1 minute, and we're ready to gain momentum on the 5 minute as well. So you guys have a nice little new tool to mess around with. That tool is very powerful if you guys can utilize it looking at projects that are a little more liquid. Yeah, this is a very powerful tool you guys definitely want to utilize. Somebody unmuted, go ahead. I think somebody unmuted. Go ahead, Ghost. I don't know if you're trying to talk. No dice. All right. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. What time frame were you looking at, if you don't mind me asking? 15 minutes? Okay. Yeah. So you're talking about all this kind of action right here, right? Right. Gotcha. So what I'm gonna do right now, whenever I see candlesticks like this, it's meaning that it's illiquid. It's at this time frame. Again, that's not a bad thing, because it could just mean that it's a longer term play. So whenever you're seeing this, it's because it's getting sales for, usually you're getting floor sales, and then what these happen to be are rare sales, but these rare sales aren't coming in fast enough for us to calculate, I guess, justify the candlesticks, because there is an outlier algo that we have on this. So it's actually, we're still trying to kind of get that down perfected. But whenever you see this, I want to definitely zoom out a little more. So even this chart, you probably have to go to like a daily chart for something like this. So notice this is going to be a lot cleaner, even though this is not very clean. You still kind of get an overall picture of what's happening on the 24-hour. Let's see if I can go on the 4-hour and get a cleaner picture as well. I like the 24-hour better. So right here, what I'd be doing, I kind of see this pattern kind of forming as well. I'm just seeing this triangle formation pretty much formate, and this is on the daily chart. And you can utilize this on the daily chart as well. Again, it just needs to be a little more liquid, was something that we'd prefer. But if you notice, look at what our MACD is about to do on the daily. Um, this could be very interesting, because of the accumulation and how long the accumulation has taken. So this came out in August. So you have price action and buyers and sellers going at it for months, just going at it, going at it, going at it. And notice the reason we draw our trend lines is because this is indicating these are actual sales that went through, right? And we're just indicating where these people are going to have to make a decision, right? Either buyers are going to have to come in and start running it up, or sellers are going to take control and start taking that back down. And it has to be one of the two. There's not, you can't just sit in the middle there unless everybody just decides not to trade the project anymore. That's just not going to happen. So the reason we draw these trend lines are going to be very key. I wish I could do this on a 12-hour or something. But what I want you to see is kind of the crossing of the MACD portion, and kind of how that correlates with past price action. So let's draw that here. Notice when our MACD actually crossed on the daily above, down in this zone. Take this off. Down in this zone back in, what was that, September, second week of September. Notice we hit the bottom trend line as well, and right here our momentum is actually crossing up, right? And that's telling us that buyers are here in control. And again, we're in control until we're not, right? And notice where we actually started getting the crossing, which was another high that we ended up getting. But here it's telling us we're out of momentum for now. But what are we actually doing on the bigger picture, right? We're holding a higher low. We have a low, a higher low. We have a high, a lower high, and then we have a higher low again. And then right here is going to be a very key indication, right? Are we going to get another lower high and get another kind of back and forth action? Or are we going to get the breakout, or get the rejection? It's kind of this, we're in a very key moment. But right here, what our MACD is telling us is that we lost the momentum. But think about what's happening on the price action. We lost momentum, but buyers are still paying a premium. Plus, look at this volume candle that just came in. I haven't seen this volume candle since it's actually came out. So this could be a very bullish indication, maybe not for a one-day trade, but also look at this number up here that we talk about all the time. MBCP is at 18%. That's a huge number. Pushing that 15, 17, 20% range, that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. But ideally, if you happen to get the accumulation of volume coming in and you get this these listings to decrease over time, you should have convergence for price action to keep continuing up. What would help them too is if they had some type of catalyst to come out, like some type of marketing scheme or some type of collaboration or something to incentivize holders to either buy more or to get holders to delist their items. That would be something that you definitely want to kind of keep a look at. And watch this MACD on the daily, because if you start to cross this and you start breaking out of the highs, you could potentially be retesting some of the higher zones at that point too. Yeah, hope that helped. Are you talking about TradingView? What in particular? So right here, I don't know if you saw how to move the pane to the bottom. Did you see that portion? So initially your charts will kind of look like this with volume on the bottom. If you go to move to pane below, you can actually change that, and you can double click that and actually use that as a maximize if you're trying to zoom in on volume. Hmm. Hmm. So what I do, the personal preference I have, what you'd be messing with is moving to existing panes. So if you want to move like MACD into your volume, kind of like how I had it, you want to move it to existing pane above. But then you start getting like where volume gets like really out of hand, you kind of start losing the scaling a bit. Um, so you kind of have to mess around with that. It's probably a lot better on smaller time frames. But yeah, you can definitely mess around with that. And if once you're done, like let's say you have that set up however you want that set up. Um, let's say, cool, this is how you want it set up. You want your MACD inside your volume. Um, you want volume inside the candle chart. Oh, so you would just move this above there. That's exactly how you would do that. And then let's say you wanted to save that initially, and you want this to pop up every time. You'd go to save indicator template and save that to whatever you'd remember that as. Also, if you're looking to save like your drawings and stuff on the actual chart, like let's say I wanted to make sure these trend lines saved, what I would do is go into this little arrow right next to this little cloud. You can actually save your chart layout. So this will save all your chart systems. So like let's say you change the background to like white. I can save that if I wanted to. I can save that layout so that it pops up every single time. Or I can go to something different that I didn't save. But yeah. Get these back. It's blinding me. All right. Tommy, what drawing tool is that? It's going to be Presentify. Type it in the chat. Presentify. It should be like a purple icon inside the App Store. I'm on Mac, so I'm not sure if it's on Play Store or anything like that. Time on again. Okay. Yeah. Just want to see if there's any more questions regarding any of the settings that we've kind of gone over today. I know that it could be a little confusing for those who haven't had access to TradingView before. But I would definitely recommend messing around with TradingView a lot more often if you guys can. This is probably one of the best charting platforms out there. And again, we get access to pretty much everything that they have built in. So if you guys have any questions going on with any indicators or any particular statistics you guys are looking at or trying to test out, don't be afraid to reach out and let us know about it, because TradingView in itself is its own rabbit hole, and having the addition to Sharks is amazing. I think with the new update that we're going to have coming out, it's really going to show us some really powerful features that Alpha Sharks and in conjunction with TradingView is going to help us out a ton. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, don't be afraid to either type it out in Educator chat, or you guys can unmute your guys' mics as well. Hello. Yes. Are you talking about on my screen? Yeah, so the volume, technically no, but what that's saying is that the volume at that point was lower than the was one cell lower than that actual volume candle that had actually come in prior. So how you kind of want to take this is you kind of want to use them in bunches, right? You want to see if you have buyers coming in, you're going to probably see a lot more blues, or on your chart, if you guys haven't changed it, it's going to be green. So blues would be green, I guess red would be yellow in kind of my version, but uh, technically no, that's not how they work. But for visual reference, you would want to see, you'd pretty much want to utilize the, I guess, pretty much the moving average of kind of the volume coming in, um, because not all these blue sticks are buyers coming in, because these could be people that got sales that were filled here as well. Mm, that's a good question. Um, alright. Trying to see if there's any more questions. Again, don't be afraid to unmute your mics, and kind of opening up the session to you guys. If you guys have any suggestions, any concerns that you guys are trying to bring forward, definitely bring them forward now. We try to go over these sessions daily and try to take the most efficient suggestions and try to implement them into the update. So if you guys have any of those, definitely bring them up now. Yeah. Can you ask the beginning of that question one more time? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll. Yeah. So yeah. So I think what I'm getting from that is, does it matter what time frame we're looking at for, I guess, what we're doing? No, it doesn't. Because this technical breakout could have happened on a daily chart. It just happens to be that we're on a 1 minute. The difference when you start getting into bigger time frames, you're gonna have a lot more data that's being calculated, meaning you're gonna have a lot more buyers and sellers that were involved. So you're probably going to have bigger movements at those points. So I'll give you kind of a perfect example. Look at this chart that we have here, and pretty much the same breakout that I'll show you with one that um, we look at all the time, if my sharks would load here. So I'm going to put this on a daily chart. And dang, I got to go and save my settings. One sec. Okay. And let's move this to pane below. Okay. And same thing we would have saw here with this particular trend line being drawn. There it is. So same trend line being drawn, just on a bigger time frame. But look at what our MACD is kind of doing at this point too. We're getting the crossing of the MACD. We're getting initial lows that are being insinuated here. Momentum starting to come in. We're breaking out of the overall trend line. And what do we have? Major indicator that we always talk about. Volume continuation. volume continuation, plus now we have this other tool that's going to show us, yeah, volume's coming in, but is the momentum continuing? And right here, we're seeing that momentum still continuing, and we're getting the volume still to come in at this point as well. So same kind of concept. I think the main thing that you're starting to get into, or what you're going to be wanting to look at, and we'll definitely be getting more in depth on those, is going to be pattern recognition. And patterns are going to pretty much give us a better indication of kind of how price action should be moving. But first, what we first kind of have to do is see, again, drawing our trend lines and being able to see where buyers and sellers are looking to come in. Because if we can't see that, then we're going to be in some trouble. But if we can start drawing these out and start noticing, hey, I'm pretty sure either buyers or sellers are going to have to win at this point. So either buyers have to come in and start breaking this out, or sellers come in and start selling it down. One of them has to happen, right? And we saw exactly kind of what happened here. If we get that, it's a great question. Were there any more questions that anybody had? Because I've had some really good questions today. No dice. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for today. If I don't see any other questions. Oh, I see Gorla typing. I'll give him 1 second to finish that out. How it works, staking plus buy. I still didn't get after I buy. What do I have to do? Not sure if I'm understanding that one. It's working. Plus buy. I'm not sure I'm understanding that. The rewards we can. I still didn't get after I bought. Oh, definitely open a ticket and we will get that to you, Gordon. But if there were any other questions, or if there weren't any other questions, we're going to wrap this up. Hope you guys have a nice little tool to utilize for the week. Again, if you guys can really draw trend lines, watch the volume, watch listings, and how it's correlating with our MACD across multiple time frames, you guys should start seeing a lot more correlation, and you guys should start to see that most of this price action isn't random, and that it happens at very particular points. So definitely draw trend lines and utilize this MACD, as it's a very powerful indicator. Not a lot of people utilize enough. So appreciate you guys coming down. We are going to have a giveaway today as well via Twitter. If you guys tweet one takeaway from the session and at myself and Alpha Sharks, there will be a giveaway that will be announced tonight or tomorrow. I have to confirm that with the team, but make sure you guys get those tweets out. Not too many people here today, so if you guys get that in, you guys got a good shot to actually win. So again, we do try to host these twice a week. We are trying to do cross Discord events as well. So if you guys are up for those, we do try to show some other communities the tool as well, and go over some features that some people have questions over as well. So appreciate you guys coming down, and I know that you guys don't have to be here, so appreciate that hour of your guys' time, and really hope you guys took something out of this session today. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, or you guys need to reach out, I'm a DM away. My DMs are always open. You can tweet me, tag me. I should get back to you ASAP. So again, pleasure with you guys, and I will catch you guys on the next one.